difference for someone who's on a minimum payroll. Canvas letters on transfers. Many residents did not receive their transfer canvas letters this year, and what wound up happening was they were booted off the wait list. And many went to their management offices to get reinstated, and what they were told was they have to resubmit as a new transfer, stopping their clock. I've got residents that have been waiting for transfers 5 to 6 years, and they've lost those 5 to 6 years. They were sending out Section 8 canvas letters to people who did not apply for Section 8. So that's a little disturbing. The rent failures to complete the annual reviews in this manner is causing a severe hardship on a lot of residents, especially the seniors. When they're receiving letters to have to go to court, it's causing undue stress. And this really needs to be looked into. Whoever is looking into CBOL, whoever's working on CBOL, they really need to look at what is wrong with this system that is not spitting out what it needs to spit out. Also with the hearings, they're not communicating. And because of the lack of communication, it's sad, because when the residents get these letters, they go to management. And management says, oh, no, your stuff is in the system. Don't worry about it. But yet they still have to appear here. So which one is it? They're not communicating. Vellatic houses, which is what I represent, was slated for an easy pack. We did a walkthrough. There is no space for an easy pack in Vellatic houses because of the demographic of the development. The easy pack would hinder and create noise to the neighboring buildings, which is 10 buildings. In addition, it will create more rats, because unless they're going to clean that easy pack on a daily basis, it's not going to work. We asked for a bulk crusher in its place, and it was denied. And I'd like the person who denied it to come and visit us at Vellatic houses so that we can take a walkthrough, so that they can understand the challenges that we face relative to our garbage and the impact that an easy pack will have on the quality of life of the residents. Thank you.
Nellie McKay.
Help it. Come on. Come on.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm sure most of y'all know me. I'm Nellie McKay from Patterson and the Bronx, and also a former state committee woman. I came down here to let y'all know some of the things we're doing in the Bronx. And I'm hoping and praying that y'all will work with us, because we want to work with you. We had a meeting, one of the board members are here today, with some of the tenants that had tickets in from August of last year, senior. Thank God I'm going on 90 years old. And I got that done. I called up John and he fixed it. We're having a meeting every 2 weeks to get him to get these old tickets and get the work done. I would like to see Patterson be the best building in the Bronx if we work together. So we're going to have a meeting, I hope, this Friday to see how many apartments, if it's not too bad, that he could do in 1 week or every 2 weeks. It's nothing wrong with housing. It's just the way housing been kept with the people. And also, you should have a meeting. We used to have meetings teaching the tenants how to keep the apartment clean, how to put the garbage in the incinerator. That went out the window. We don't need money. You're not going there to eat. You go in there to these meetings to learn how to keep the property clean. And I'm asking, before I came down, I just had surgery on my foot. So that's the reason you haven't seen me. As for letters from 254 from here, this office, I never received the letters. So I brought the OTAG and the markers. I never seen the letters or the poster asking to send it to the manager. And we can always have one Xerox. The manager sent out letters. They're not paying the manager any attention. Maybe if it comes from here and says, we're going to charge you. Sometimes you have to hit people in the pocket, and then they'll wake up. Please work with us and the Bronx. And also, I was going to get some roses, but I had no one to cut them. We have beautiful roses. We're having a beautiful garden. And last 3 or 4 years, they took the $40. Didn't give us. Because I raised money, but I can't do it anymore because on account of my foot, I don't know how long the doctor allowed me to be outside doing things. But it's not going to stop me from talking. Another thing, letters, I'm going to repeat the letters. The throwing the garbage out in the garden, throwing garbage outside. Them guys clean. I mean, they clean. They are not supposed to go back and clean the second time. It's up to the tenants. And if a tenant receive a letter saying you will be charged if you don't put the garbage where it's supposed to be, maybe that would help them. And you can't say, oh, we can't find them. Yes, you can. You can find people. If it's $2, one person said, oh, they won't pay it. Then it'll be on their rent bill, but they just pay the rent. It's not fair to the people that want to live decent. And I'm tired of looking at these apartments on TV, holes is large enough I can go through. They think we all live like that. See, I came from the South. We don't live like that. We keep our place clean and try to help someone else. And especially NYCHA, see, I can go all the way back because I've been there 53 years. And when I moved in, I told you before, I had to have a husband. So now, this is a new day. Please help. Get the letters out. If you want me to bring some more tag, I can go to 99 cents and bring it. Is it costing too much to write a letter to the tenants to say some people want to live decent and trying to keep the place clean? Now, I'm just talk, but I'm getting tired of talking now. We're going to have to do something. Else, if the people pay the rent, we all can get together and go on a rent strike. Would you like that? Then NYCHA won't be getting any money, but you have to have a lawyer to do it. You just can't jump out there and go on a rent strike by yourself. I want to hear someone say they will send the letters to the office or send a poster to their office, and we don't mind having posters made over from the one that you send down here and put up on the outside. Can someone tell me that? Someone can ask me and say they would send letters? I know we all grown people here, and I'm not talking to kindergarten children. Would you please answer me, why can't NYCHA do that? Because every time I turn on the TV, holes is in this part, holes in that. We don't want that in Patterson. This is why we are having a meeting with John Torres and the manager to get some of this work done. So when y'all come up there, you can see we are doing something. And also, I'm jumping here that I don't have much time. I would like to see the $40 put back. I have to pay my rent, but yeah, I donate $50 to beautify the community. People even in cars drive by and they get out and look at the garden. What happened to that $40?
Okay, can you wrap it up?
Hmm?
Can you Someone will get back to you on the issue.
Someone told me that before,
Okay. well,
and no
someone will
one
get
ever
back to
did.
you.
Miss, I'm not coming down here to just hear myself talk. I'm coming down here for help. And you know, you got to work together. You say, oh, tonight you don't do anything. But we have to work together. You work with us and we work with you. Nobody can talk this morning. I'll be back here next month. I'm going on 90 years old. And if I can take my garbage, clean my apartment, and someone else do their apartment, why can't the rest of them? Why can't you start having the meetings again? In the basement at 301. We did it before. And I know it's enough staff you have down here to come up and work with us. I guess I'm talking to children in the first grade or kindergarten, the one talking to me. I'll be back. I would like to get the $40. In fact, you should give us more than that because the last 4 years we have been buying the flowers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Myers, James Myers, please step up.
Good morning. My name is James Myers. I'm from Patterson Project. Okay, some of the things that Ms. McKay spoke on is true. But I spoke today on, they give a contract on doors and ramp. Our doors, now, if the contractors seen, they needed to put a stop so the door would not come all the way back. It comes all the way back, it breaks. Now, a genius, if you're gonna hire a contract to put in doors, seems like he should know that they should put a stop so the door couldn't come back. That's one. The next thing is that Patterson, for 35 years or longer, haven't been pointed. The new buildings that've been going up after Patterson, they point these buildings, but Patterson haven't been pointed. When it rains and hits the side of that building, rains come in to the building because of the walls. So they should point the building. Number three, we need the ranges that we have, the stoves that we have are very dangerous. When you cut it on, it takes a while before that stove lights up. And then when it lights up, it gives off a big boom, pop, like it's blowing up. For a senior or anyone, that is very dangerous. Okay? Now, so I think these things need to be addressed. Now, I spoke about those before. Every time I come, I speak about these those and what we need to be done to it. It hasn't been addressed. You know, let's say you spend over $1 million to fix these doors, but you're not correcting. You're giving the money away. Somewhere down the line, the contractors and also the people that you have to check it out are doing nothing. Me and my kids can do the same thing if they're going to be messed up because it's messed up. So I think somewhere down the line, housing should send someone to investigate and see if the work is being done properly, because it's not. Okay? Now, where they dig and all that stuff, now we're getting the rats back. The rats are coming up, and I mean, it's just some of them are big as a cat. And that's in the front of the building. So I think that they should do something to correct that, because we got a lot of rats in front of the building. So these are some of the things that I would like to address. Now back to what Ms. McKay said about fining the people for throwing their garbage Some of them don't want to bring the garbage down. They throw it right in the hallway. If that individual live in that building, they should be fined. Because number one, that's the way it was before. If you mess up, you get fined. If the kids played, when I came up, if kids played on the grass, you get fined because the kids don't supposed to be on that grass. You know, and besides, that's the way I look at it. Now, all of these things that Ms. McKay said about the sign and all that stuff, we need it. It's it's bad that you have to teach adult, but if that adult is not teaching the kid that you can't throw the garbage in the hallway and stuff like that, and you have conceptors outside for the garbage, or you have the dumb waiters to throw the garbage down, seems like that parent or that individual should know that's where the garbage goes. So if you can't put the garbage there and that individual drop it in the hallway, I think that individual should get fined. And that's what she's talking about. And it's not only Patterson, it should be throughout the city. And I think that's what it should be. And, you know, HUD can do everything else, but don't do the correct thing. And apparently they're not. They're investing money, but they're not concerned about the tenant. We had a young lady that went around. We had a young lady that went from project to project.
Excuse me, Mr. Myers, can you?
Okay, yes. Thanks. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Forgive me for overspending my time. It's just that I got very exciting to talk. Okay, thanks for anyhow.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
have a nice.
Nixa Torres, please step up. Item number 25.
Good morning, Chairwoman, board members. I'm here once again, and just for the record, I am in favor of the proposal for 25. Being that Alfred E. Smith sits on ground zero, we know the repercussions of what happens because of 9/11. And I would hope that the same is afforded to the residents of Alfred E. Smith. With the new construction under FEMA, all the debris that was never cleaned has now been disturbed from 9/11. And I have an alarming rate of residents who are now become victims of cancer, and because of 9/11 are now beginning to get sick respiratory. And I've actually lost residents because of that. This, one more time, with the rescue, with the FEMA project, the stairwells, they're ADA non-compliant. And for $56 million on this rebuild, I would ask that there be an audit. I'm also asking that they not be paid, that payments be stopped, because we have a whole issue about our trees, and it continues to be an issue of health for my residents and the quality of life. I want to formally inform you that Alfred E. Smith will do everything that we need to do legally to protect the quality and the well-being of the residents in Smith. I cannot begin to, to tell you the problems that we have. In a real emergency, the way this was done, it endangers the lives of the residents. And it has, I feel we have a task force. I feel like it's gone on deaf ears. People have totally been ignored. Of course, there are people, starting with the person who's in charge of the recovery, who feels that residents in public housing are not sophisticated enough to understand. And so that being said, I continue to ask that the trees, that we have a remediation on the real remediation on the trees, and that NYCHA hire its own arborist, a third party, so that we can come to a conclusion, and so that the trees are safe for the residents and the workers in Alfred E. Smith. And please note that we have a school that is within the surrounding, and I came before the board the last time before you came into place, Chairwoman, because the tree actually fell in the play yard where the children in the school, because they use the park right next to the school, which is NYCHA property. Thank God for Rosh Hashanah, because the schools were closed that day. And I don't know how many more times I have to come here, but I am telling you that there's a dangerous situation and my residents are at risk in terms of health. And my seniors have a right to sit down and enjoy the trees. Our trees are like, I'm looking at the trees and they're like skimpy. The leaves are not there because of the damage that was done. And I do not want this company to finish and then leave and say, Sarana, and they leave us with the damage and do not do the remediation properly and for all the trees that they damaged. And trust me, they damaged trees because the contract required that they do the lighting for the entire development. So every tree in Smith was touched, right? Some more than others, but they were touched. And I have a serious concern for the well-being and the safety. And I feel like I'm on deaf ears, And so I would like to hold back the remaining payment for this contract. And I would ask for an audit because I don't understand how this design was done to the point of actually violating a federal law with federal money. I thank you. Have a good day. Yes.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
Ms. Torres, how you doing?
I'm okay, Ms.
Okay.
Gonzalez.
So I remember you brought in a study along with some measures and measurements and
Right.
different types of things regarding those trees.
Right.
What exactly is the issue with the trees? Because I understand that, if I'm not mistaken, NYCHA did look into some of the tree issues, and there was no, according to them, there was no ramifications. What still exists in
Okay.
that issue?
So they have to do what they call air spading so that they can then treat the roots that would damage. And I can tell you because I saw this with my own eyes, right? Which is when I called the attorneys and I said, somebody needs to come here to look at our trees. And we hired our own arborist because the damage, I could see it. I'm not an expert, but if I could see it, then I know that there's something wrong. And when our Carson came, he said, oh my God, this is like, at first, people might think that like I was overreacting, but I'm not. And so the issue becomes one of cleaning the roots, treating them, and then putting them in fresh soil, because the soil that we have is contaminated with lead, and I mean heavy numbers of lead, and we have that. And arsenic, right? And so all the soil in Smith needs to be removed, and that's not negotiable, because now you're talking about the well-being and the lives of my residents, especially my children and our seniors. And so that's not negotiable. And I've been asked by the state senator, and that is one. All the soil has to be removed. It's totally contaminated. And everybody thinks it's like, oh, no, it's not. No, yes, it is. It's absolutely contaminated. And I can tell you, because I've gone to enough funerals. I had a meeting once when I said, what happened to everybody? Because you know what? I have 4 funerals in 1 week. It's insane. And it's not even age. You know what I'm saying? It's like seniors, children. I mean, it's incredible. And and as I say all the time, Alfred E. Smith, everybody's related to everybody. And so I'm telling.
Pardon me for being a novice, but what was the name of that process again?
Air spading.
Air spading?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joel Kupferman, please step up.
Joel Kupferman, New York Environmental Law and Justice Project. I'm counsel to the Smith houses and now St. Nick's. We're very familiar with the health problems. We were at Smith going back to 9/11, getting the EPA to do somewhat of a cleanup, but that area wasn't cleaned up. What brings us back to St. Nick's is that we're very concerned that there's been 3 cases of Legionnaires outbreaks in St. Nick's. We feel that the response by the New York City Health Department and NYCHA is totally insufficient. There's only three, it happened in 3 different buildings, so we don't know exactly the cause of why this is happening, but the City Health Department only wants to test 3 buildings, the 3 buildings that it's in, which is totally not acceptable in terms of standard American public health practices. So we're asking that all the buildings be tested, that we ask the general manager that we bring in the state health department. The city health department has been failing NYCHA residents left and right. For a long time, they were not taking any 311 complaints from NYCHA residents, which is against the law, okay? These people need help and an evaluation. We're just going back to Smith. We brought the health department in on the grounds that the arsenic was 240 parts per million. 16 parts is the clearance level. The health department didn't want to come. They told us it's not their jurisdiction. We dragged them in, and they issued a report that the soil is not covered and it's within 20 feet of residential windows, but they didn't do anything. The contractor was allowed to continue. There's been no testing of that soil, which is the highest, by any city, state, or federal agencies. So these people have a great concern. There are people at Smith that are on the Victims Compensation Fund for 9/11. The worst thing we could do is exposing them to ongoing materials. The fix in that place, which is mandated by contract, is basically covering up the soil. That soil has high levels of lead. The lead is going up, resuspended, and it's going into people's apartments. The whole reason why the federal government is hovering over us is over the lead issue. The lead is not just the paint, it's the lead in the soil that's there. And the worst thing is that it's in the contract. We brought this up with the Resiliency Division, and they basically have done nothing. And word is going out, and I'm a lawyer that's on the front, the front lines. Once they see that you're not even hiring, you're holding someone accountable, the contractors go through that and just will basically take your money and run. We're concerned that there's $56 million at Smith. There's only something like $650,000 left. That's not going to cover the cost of the tree, the remediation, and the soil. It's violations of the contract. We brought this up, over and over again. St. Nick's, we just feel that the people are running scared. 3 people, Legionnaires. Someone died that was outside that complex, that actually someone that I knew. And so, for NYCHA to rely on the city health department to just do minimal testing is leaving these people in up in arms. So we're asking that you bring in, that you can't rely on the city health department at all, but you could also demand that they do more. You should ask DEP and all these city agencies to do a lot more, and NYCHA has not been asking. In terms of the arborist, why it's so important is that by not having someone checking on those trees, the contractor is going to get away with it, basically saying NYCHA said what we're doing is fine, okay? So it's an alibi. We're concerned also that there's 50 to 150,000 trees in NYCHA property, and there is not an arborist that's been hired. For a big $40,000, $50,000, you could protect those resources. We also learned in Baruch that they went in and they just basically cut those trees down, I think as a preemptive strike, because they don't want our eyes to be watching. So we have this major resource. There is funding out there. The city has millions of dollars.
I don't want to interrupt, but could you wrap it up?
Sure, okay. The city has millions of dollars in resiliency funds that you could use to protect the existing trees now, not cut them down. So I think it's really, there's $1 billion more that's coming up in resiliency. I believe that you should examine the people that are in charge of that division, hire new people, should do a full auditing, and make sure that you're not just endangering all federal money by having ADA, really, it's not just violations. They built this staircase that the people can't get out. They're basically locking them in, and they also didn't even consult with the fire department or first responders. So it's not just a waste, it's actually letting the contractor play God in a way, saying who could leave and who could not leave that complex. So I think it's important that you just totally look at this contract, the failure, and all the other contracts, especially on the rebuild. But we're very concerned about that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
What, did the health department offer any kind of explanation as to why they wouldn't follow up on your request?
They said, they basically said they don't know what the cause is, and they basically just left it blank, you know, that they're not going to do it. It's called the full epi study. We want to go back and find out, you know, go back a generation or two or a few years back and figure out where that Legionnaires is, you know, and they're not doing that. So the state health department can, and I would just say that it's NYCHA is liable because it's basically relying on advice that you know, these other agencies are not fulfilling it. And it's a life and death situation. Legionnaires is very, you know, scary, and people are living in fear, and they're not being, you know, in some ways they're just being totally disrespected. And I think it's a major health crisis. And also just want to say one thing. While the soil is not just at Smith, it's elsewhere, we're finding that it's not just the toxics in the soil, it's the soil alone, the particles, that we learned this from 9/11. It wasn't all the toxics, there's little particles that go into people's breathing that causes asthma people to go into shock and the like. And so a lot of the remediation that could take place in NYCHA housing now is very little money. The main thing it's very upsetting at Smith is we're talking about geotextile cloth, basically putting down drop cloths, and that's required in the contract, and they refuse to do that. They haven't done that. And now, but they paid 99% of that contract to these people. So,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thanks. Chair, that concludes the public comments portion, and we'll proceed with the regular calendar. First order of business is to adopt the minutes of the prior meeting, which was held on Wednesday, April 24th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
I motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Not opposed. We will now proceed with the chair's remarks.
Thank you. I want to thank our two new board members, Paula Gavin and Matt Gottlieb, for joining us. It's critical to have a full contingent of board members who want to serve NYCHA. So I hope you will serve for a very, very long time. Just a few points before we get into the business of the day. We continue to work hard to meet all of the milestones required within the HUD agreement. One of the things that we did recently was to set up the 3 offices, compliance, EH&S, and quality assurance. They are getting off the ground. Hopefully we'll be hiring permanent executives into all of those roles shortly. We began posting the inspections of the XRF on our website on May 1st. The results of those will go up as we QA/QC them. As many of you know, we had the alternative work schedule start at a number of our developments. The caretakers are now choosing for the second round, and we really think, particularly when it comes to things like garbage and issues on the campuses, that this will be, we've seen already that it has been extraordinarily helpful at the places where we have the extended shifts. And while the maintenance workers did not ratify their contract, and we will go into arbitration, we still think that there are opportunities for us to get to extended shifts there, and as well as with other of our labor partners. In terms of some of the real estate deals that will be coming forward, we anticipate that we will be announcing a developer on the mega bundle for Manhattan in the next few weeks. We also received quite a few responses to our requests for qualifications, both small and large developers and small and large social service agencies. We think it's really important that we continue to expand the pool of people who are working with us so that we can leverage all of those talents. And we look forward to continue to move all of these different projects forward. Ready?
Thank you. We will now proceed with the calendar items 1 through 25, items 1 through 5.
Good morning, I'm Deborah Goddard, EVP for Capital. Item number 1 is 1 through 3 are the recommendation to award IDIQ contracts, indefinite quantity, indefinite delivery, other way around, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, for our local law 11 work, exterior restorations. Some of you will remember that we rejected all bids some number of months ago because we did not like the prices we got. We went back out, we divided them up by borough. We also did smaller minimum guaranteed amounts, hoping to broaden the pool, and it seems to have worked. So this is the first of a series. I'll be back over the next couple of months with more contracts. So this is, again, local law 11 work. It's for cycle 8, which will finish next February, and cycle 9 inspections starting next February. These contracts cover Brooklyn, Staten Island, Bronx, Queens, and Manhattan. We'll be back with, we are going to have 2 contracts for every borough. We are recommending an award to Neelam Construction Corporation for Brooklyn, Staten Island. They are a minority-owned firm. They've done work with us in the past satisfactorily, and their VNC is clear. They are proposing 9 Section 3 hires. We are recommending P&K Consulting for the contracts for Brooklyn and Queens and for Manhattan. They are proposing 30 Section 3 hires for each of their contracts. P&K is also minority-owned. They have done work with us, and their work has been satisfactory. Their VNC is pending, and so won't be this award will not be final until that is clear. All of these contracts came in between 5 and almost 8% under our estimates, so the rebidding did work for us. The amounts of the contract for Neelam, about $59 million. For P&K at Bronx, Queens, approximately $58 million, and for P&K in Manhattan, approximately $60 million. Are there any questions?
For P&K contract, the second one,
Yes.
you said Brooklyn and Queens? What is it,
I'm
Bronx
sorry,
and
Bronx
Queens?
and Queens.
Okay,
Thank you.
Bronx and Queens. Got it.
Item number 4 is the ratification and recommended ratification and amendment to the contract for the construction management services for sandy work at Coney Island 1, Site 8, O'Dwyer, and Surfside Gardens. The construction manager is Jacobs, project management company. They are doing overall site pre-construction, construction, and post-construction work for us out there. Last year, in connection with the Cycle 8 Local Law 11 work, while roofing was going on there, we had the Local Law 11 work added to the contract, and we asked Jacobs to oversee it, which was an addition to their contract. At the time, we did not need to come in for additional money to cover that change order. At this point in time, we are now finalizing. This will be our last bid package, Coney Island going out, have really firming up the budget overall. So we are coming to ratify that prior change order and add money for that. That's in the value of about $2.2 million to cover that earlier change order. As well as we want to amend the overall Jacobs contract for another $1 million to cover the extension of the work out there. Coney Island has gone longer than we expected. The funds for the local law 11 will be covered by our federal funds, and the funds for the amendment will be covered by FEMA, CDBG-DR, or insurance. If there are no questions, I'll move to item number 5, which is the ratification of the award for gas piping replacement, again, an IDIQ contract for various developments in Manhattan, to DDS Mechanical Plumbing and Heating in the amount of a little over $9 million. We are preparing this in the normal course of events to come to you probably next month or the month thereafter, when Sandy work at Reese 2 found a gas leak outside the buildings. We don't know what the cause is. We're looking into that. But meanwhile, all of the cooking gas shut down. So we fast-tracked this contract. We got the VNC approved, and we are bringing it to you for ratification. The kickoff to address the gas risers started last week. We wanted to move this as quickly as possible to shorten the amount of time for the gas outage, which is for cooking gas. As I mentioned, the VNC has been approved. There's no issue to preclude the award. Their variance was a good bid, was a little about 11.5% under our estimate, and they're proposing 2 Section 3 hires. Are there any questions? Thank you.
6.
Good morning. My name is Rasul Azanijad. I'm the VP Vice President for Healthy Home, and I will be presenting resolution number 6, requesting authorization to enter 3 contract IDIQ for lead-based paint and inspection quality assurance. Under this IDIQ agreement, the selected firm will be providing, as required by NYCHA, the management and supervision for XRF testing initiative, which is ongoing right now. And they will make sure that the quality assurance is done according to our rules and regulation. And the contract amount is about, for 3 contracts, is about $4.2 million. The vendors are Ethnical Environmental, Omega Environmental, and Safety Environmental. Safety Environmental is MWBE contractor. And the funding for this capital, the funding is capital and will be paid by either city or CDBG fund. Any questions?
Okay. In the interest of saving time, I'll speak to you directly on it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
7 and 8.
Good morning. Matthew Charney, one of the directors for NYCHA Real Estate Development Department. Resolution 7 is authorization is requested to amend Board Resolution 1892751, which authorizes an application to HUD pursuant to Section 18 to dispose of a parcel of land at Soundview Houses for affordable housing development. 3 changes are requested. 1, to reflect a change in the pricing for 15 of the 72 affordable home ownership units, up to 83% of area median income, while the pricing for the balance will remain below 80% of area median income. Secondly, to authorize the marketing of these units to potential households with incomes ranging from 75 to 90%. So while the affordability will be set at 83 or below, the marketing band would go up to 90% of area median income. And then a change from the method of sale from a negotiated sale at more than fair market value to less. This is because the original appraisal, this deal was this is the 3rd phase of a 3-phase project that was originally approved in 2011. So the appraisal was recently updated in anticipation of this 3rd and last phase of the closing, and is now above the fair, so the price that the Housing Authority expects to get is below the fair market value. So we need to notify HUD of these 3 changes. If approved, this resolution would also allow us to submit a memo to HUD SAC, notifying them of these changes, and then upon their approval, we would proceed with the disposition of this property for the creation of affordable home ownership. And then item number 8, we will be withdrawing and hope to represent to you in the June meeting. If there's any questions? Yeah.
The proposed use of the 2.4 million, do we know how that's going to go? Or
So for item number 7, the authority expects to receive approximately $380,000 for the sale of that property, and all of that money would be used at not just Soundview Houses. Directly at Soundview Houses, yes. And that we'd work with the Tenants Association on a budget for the planned use of that, and we need to submit that back to HUD before any of that money is spent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 9.
Hi, I'm Dan Freiberg from Finance, the Controller. And item 9, we're seeking the board approval to issue the annual financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2018. As background, the authority is required by federal regulations to issue annually a complete set of audited financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. These include statement of net position, a statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, and a statement of cash flows, along with related clarifying notes. The financial statements also provide management discussion and analysis, which is supporting narrative of the financial statements. The audit was performed by Deloitte & Touche LLP, and after review, they have issued an unqualified or a clean opinion. The following is an overview of the 2018 financial statements. The statement in that position present the authority's assets, deferred outflows, liabilities, deferred inflows, and net position at the end of the year. As of December 31st, 2018, the authority has assets totaling $9.9 billion, made up primarily of cash investments, our building and building improvements. We have liabilities of $6.3 billion, which are payments that have to be made for services rendered, pension obligations for current and future retirees, and other obligations including health care, cost of future retirees. Our net position is a positive $3.4 billion. More importantly, our current assets of $1.8 billion exceed our current liabilities of $1.2 billion for a net balance of $575 million, which is equal to 2.75 months of operating need. It's important to note that HUD requires a one-month reserve, and we have close to 3 months on hand. The statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position report the authority's operating results and how its net position changed during the year. The authority's revenues are comprised of two parts: tenant revenues of $1.1 billion and federal, state, and city grants of $2.4 billion, which includes $1.1 billion from the Section 8 program, $0.9 billion from the public housing program, and city subsidies totaling $166 million. Along with other revenues, our total revenues were $3.7 billion. Our expenses for the same period were $3.9 billion, comprised mainly of rent payments to landlords in the Section 8 program of $1 billion, general administration of $0.9 billion, maintenance and operations of the public housing program of $0.9 billion, utilities of $0.6 billion, and other expenditures such as depreciation and other post-employment benefits of $0.5 billion. For the year ended December 31st, 2018, the authority's net position increased by $552 million, comprised of capital contributions of $820 million, partially offset by a loss before capital contributions of $258 million. The statements also compares the 2018 performance to 2017, and it reflects that our non-operating revenues increased by $361 million and expenses increased by $296 million, mostly driven by increases in utilities, claims, and the recognition of costs related to lead remediation. On May 13, 2019, Finance presented a draft of the authority's financial statements for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2018 to the authority's audit committee. Based on this presentation, the authority's audit committee recommended board approval for the issuance of the financial statement in compliance with the audit committee charter. Are there any questions? Yes.
Just a statement. Just wanted to thank you very much for taking the time out to explain some of the definitions of some of the things that are going on.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, board members. My name is Kelly McNeil, General Counsel. I will be presenting items 10 and 11. Item 10 is a change order for a court reporter. Authorization is requested to amend the agreement with Diamond Reporting for stenographic reporting services, which did not require initial board authorization for an initial 3-year term with 2 one-year renewal options to increase and not to exceed amount in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the second 1-year renewal option term, which commenced on February 1st, 2019 and is continuing through January 31st, 2020. The amount is in the amount of $150,000. The original contract amount was $670,000. Item number 11 Authorization is requested to amend the agreement with Deposition Solutions LLC, doing business as Dietz Court Reporting for stenographic reporting services, which did not require initial board authorization for an initial 3-year term with 2 one-year renewal options, and is subsequently amended to increase the not to exceed amount in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the second 1-year term. 1-year renewal option, which commenced on February 1st, 2019, and is continuing through January 31st, 2020. The amount is $75,000, and the original contract amount was $270,000. Are there any questions? Thank you.
12 through 21.
Good morning, board members. My name is Jose Atkinson. I'm the acting EVP for operations. I'm here to present 12 through, I believe it's 21. Number 12, the award of requirement contract for repair of, interior compactor refuse management systems. The cost of this is $334,000. The operating funding source is federal. Authorization is requested to award this requirement contract to a sole responsive and responsible bidder, Premier Compaction Systems. The not to exceed amount. This requirement contract also provides for a 1-year renewal option to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. Hopper doors and chutes. Number 13 is award of requirement contract for quarterly cleaning of kitchen range hood exhaust systems with electrostatic precipitators. This funding source is federal, various citywide, and the authorization is requested to award this contract to the sole responsible bidder, Samiro Services, Inc. For the not to exceed amount. The requirement contract also provides for a 1-year renewal option to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. There was a question on precipitators at the.
I got the answer.
You got
Thank
the
you.
answer.
Yes, I did. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Number 14 is a reward requirements contract for replacement of motorized steam control valves, stations, and heating control panels. This is actually 14, 15, and 16. 14 is for the Bronx, 15 is for Brooklyn, and 16 is for Manhattan. The authorization is requested to award this requirement contract was deemed unresponsive for failure to submit required signed subcontractor letters of assent as outlined in the authority's bid documents. This requirement contract also provides for a 1-year renewal option to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. There was also a question on this prior to.
I need clarification.
So this is with the outside sensors. This is not anything to do with the interior sensors to the apartments themselves.
I see. So if this work is done and the outside sensor is not working properly, how do we go about repairing that?
I will get you an answer to that. I don't know the system in detail, but I will certainly get you an answer.
Thank you.
Okay, and number 15, same thing for Brooklyn. It's essentially the same. The amount is $3.513 million. And then the first lowest bidder was deemed non-responsive in Brooklyn for failure to submit required signed subcontractors' letters of assent as outlined in the authority's bid documents. Is there any questions on 15? Number 16 is the same for Manhattan. The amount here is $3,868,140.48. And then the first lowest bidder was deemed non-responsive for failure to submit a form proposal as outlined in the authority's bid documents. Second lowest bidder was deemed non-responsive for failure to submit required signed subcontractor letters of assent as outlined in the authority's bid documents. And this requirement contract also provides for a one-year renewal option to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. Number 17 is authorization of a change order to requirement contract 1826949 awarded to Encore Construction and Contracting. This is for various locations in Brooklyn. The funding source is federal. Projected Section 3 hires not required. Authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to Encore Construction and Contracting, Inc. for repair or replacement of roof and rear exit doors, which should not require initial board authorization for an initial 2-year term with one-year renewal option to increase the not to exceed amount by $746,000 in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term and the 1-year renewal option term, which commenced on September 24th, 2018, and is continuing through September 23rd, 2021. Questions on that? Number 18 is authorization for a change order to requirements contract 182-0214 awarded to EIA Electric, Inc. The authorization is requested to approve the change order for the requirement contract awarded to EIA Electric for the service of electromagnetic locks, which did not require initial board authorization for an initial 2-year term, with one-year renewal option to increase the not to exceed amount in order to fund the continued provisions of service during the remainder of the initial 2-year term, and the 1-year renewal term, which commenced on July 25th, 2018, and is continuing through July 24th, 2021.
After rereading this, I just have one comment. These electric or electromagnetic locks, are these not only the ones to the regular developments? Are these also included in the, what's that program where you have like a key, like in the hotels?
Oh, like a keyless entry system?
We have a system, there's a new system that we're working on.
So it's either like a fob or a card or something
Yeah, like a
that?
fob.
Like a fob or
So
card.
is this for fob as well as the regular doors?
I will get you an answer.
Okay.
So you'd like to know whether it's fob and key card or just independent fob or card?
I'd like to know if it covers both.
Got it. Any further questions on number 18? Number 19 is authorization of a change order to requirements contract 182-1508 awarded to Metrocity Renovation, Inc. The operating funding source is federal. Authorization is requested to approve a change order for the requirement contract awarded to Metrocity Renovation for repair and replacement of hopper doors and pans, which should not require initial board authorization for initial 2-year term with 1-year renewal, and this is to increase the not to exceed amount in order to continue provisions of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term, which commenced on July 20th, 2018, and is continuing through July 19th, 2021. Questions? And number 20 is an authorization to amend former board resolutions 17-9-27-29, 18-2-28-12, and 18-11-28-23, and approve a change order to requirement contract 1617074 awarded to Matrix Construction, Inc. The operating funding source is federal, and projected Section 3 hires is not required. Authorization is requested to amend those prior 3 resolutions. The reason for that is the dates, there was a clerical error on those dates, and it passed through without anybody catching. So this is a 4th change order, so we're actually changing the dates to what they should reflect now at this time. And this is for installation of bathtub wall surrounds, which should not require initial board authorization. And there's 1-year renewal option by changing the erroneously stated term dates of the initial 2-term period. So the new dates will actually, the 1-year extension will actually be from September 16th, 2018, now to September 14th, 2019.
September 15th.
Actually, it should be 14th. That was,
First date is the 15th.
right.
Commenced on September 15th and continuing
Continuing through
September 14th.
September 14th, 2019. Any questions there? And number 21 is authorization to enter into an agreement with NYCHA Motor Corporation doing business as Motion Control Engineering, Inc. And this is citywide for elevators. Funding source is federal. Authorization is requested to enter into this agreement with NYCHA Motor Corporation, DBA, Motion Control Engineering, for the purchase of hardware and software and installation services for authority elevators that utilize Tricon controllers, commencing on June 1st, 2019, and continuing through May 31st, 2020, or commencing on such other date as may be determined by the general manager or the acting EVP for operations, and continuing for 1 year thereafter with a 1-year renewal option to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. So this is actually to monitor the braking system on the elevators. And if they do not release when that when the car, yes, ma'am.
Are any of these MVWE?
I can go back and find out. I have it in my paperwork, I just don't have it with me, but I will let you know. That's it. Thank you.
Item 22.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Bob Morano, NYCHA's Chief Information Officer. Item 22 is requesting to enter into an agreement with Bias Corporation for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Services. This agreement will allow NYCHA to move our Oracle-based systems from our 90 Church Street data center to the Oracle Cloud. Critical systems that will be moved include Siebel, Oracle Financials, Maximo, Hyperion Budgeting, Oracle Content Management, and our data warehouse. Item 23 is requesting to enter into an agreement with Bias Corporation for the implementation services and ongoing support of our new cloud systems. This will include upgrading our current systems to the latest cloud hardware and operating systems, as well as ongoing monitoring, patching, backups, and incident resolution. The benefits of moving to the cloud are huge for NYCHA: 24/7 support, guaranteed uptimes, access from anywhere, anytime. This will pretty much make our major systems disaster and hurricane proof. Item 22 and 23 are both 5-year agreements. Any questions? Item 24 is requesting authorization to amend an agreement with Carosoft Technology Corp. For the implementation and configuration of our new cloud-based legal system called Legal Stratus. The original agreement was a 1-year contract with 2 1-year renewal options. This amendment will fund the 2 1-year renewal options, as well as fund additional professional services needed to complete the data conversion from our old legal system to the new Legal Stratus system. We have already implemented several units of law already: the FOIL unit, real estate, corporate affairs, subpoena unit, and special projects units. We are currently working on housing litigation, and we shall finish torts up later this summer. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Item
Good morning. My name is Nicole Van Gent. I'm the Director of Human Resources for NYCHA. This morning, I'm here to present Board Resolution 25. With this resolution, I am seeking authorization to adopt an unlimited paid sick leave unlimited paid sick leave for employees with 9/11 related illnesses. This policy is consistent with the city's policy. By PSB number 4417, the city established an unlimited sick leave policy for covered employees who had participated in World Trade Center rescue, recovery, and cleanup operations who had contracted 9/11 related illnesses. The benefit originated from a collective bargaining agreement between the DC 37 and the city dated October 23rd, 2018. By Mayor's Personnel Order 2019-1, the benefit was extended to managerial and original jurisdiction employees. NYCHA now seeks authority to make this benefit available for NYCHA employees. By establishing a 9/11 line of duty illness and injury benefit for NYCHA employees, we would permit eligible employees in active status who participated in World Trade Center rescue, recovery, and cleanup operations who have contracted 9/11 illnesses to take unlimited paid sick leave without adverse impact to their leave balances prior to separation. Eligible employees would include those who were in active status as of October 23rd, 2018, who participated in World Trade Center rescue, recovery, and cleanup operations as verified by an approved notice of participation from NYCERS, who contracted a qualifying World Trade Center condition as defined in Section 2 of the New York State Retirement and Social Security Law, or a 9/11 related illness as defined by the World Trade Center Health Program. To be eligible, employees would have to not be covered under any other collective bargaining agreement or law, and they would have to be in a covered title, meaning that they are either a managerial, an original jurisdiction employee, or an employee covered by a collective bargaining agreement that provides for the 9/11 World Trade Center benefit. This benefit would be known as the 9/11 Unlimited Paid Sick Leave benefit and would be retroactively effective to April 2nd, 2019. I'm requesting your approval to permit the adoption of this policy to provide unlimited paid sick leave for employees with 9/11 related illnesses. Yes.
Is there any action required for employees that are not active now? Did the law require anything going back?
To be eligible, they have to have received a notice of participation from NYCHAs. There's a policy for submitting proof to NYCHAs, and then NYCHAs grants the qualifying notice. So I believe that process is open now, so they could go back and seek it, but there is a threshold of proof to receive the benefit.
So it's both active and then you can apply if you're not active.
Correct. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, 25 items were presented. Item number 8 was withdrawn, requested to be withdrawn, and item number 20 was corrected with respect to term dates. May I have a motion to approve the 25 items in the form I just stated?
Motion?
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Being that all matters before the board today have been addressed, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Could I say one thing? I just wanted to state how honored I am to come on the board, and I wanted to express my appreciation for the residents who came forward to speak today, and I'm sure that there is a follow-up process for that, but it is an honor to do this, and I want to thank Catherine for her leadership and everybody. Thank you.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you.
Madam Chair.